What's up, everybody? It's Jeff. I'm back. Ignore the mess in the background. Today we're going to be talking about one of the least talked about aspects of having really good aim, and that is mouse control. But before we do that, be sure to like and subscribe and check out all the rest of our content on our channel. Hey guys, what's up? It's Jeff, and today we're going to talk about mouse control. You would think if we're talking about aim, we're going to talk about how to control this bad boy right here, and what's going to lead to basically having the best aim is often going to be mouse control. So today's episode is going to be a little shorter. We're going to start off with a really quick tip that I want to show you guys. Go into your system settings and disable enhanced pointer precision. All right, this is something I had on for years. I didn't even realize it. A competitive player at the very top of their game pointed it out to me. Basically what it does is it gives you aim assist on your desktop. So if you're not in a game, your mouse isn't actually representative of your true sensitivity settings. But if you change that, not only do you get constant practice every time you're browsing the web, utilizing your mouse to click on areas of your screen, but also it prevents you from having to transition between what is functionally one sensitivity for your desktop and one sensitivity just for your gameplay. So go ahead and go into your settings, get that disabled, and then come back so that we can actually get into some other stuff that we can do with our aim. So when we're looking at good aim, you can practice movements that you're going to be doing very frequently. And we've talked about that a little bit in our first video where we're talking about spider shot as one of those, or 180 flicks is another good example in games where you might have to do that a lot. People will actively practice doing a perfect 180 flick. But what are you going to do when your aim needs to be spontaneously good? When it has to be off the wall, suddenly I need to put my cursor from here to there and it needs to be precision perfect. There's really only one answer to that, and that is your mouse control. But what is that, right? Isn't that what we've already been practicing in all these other tasks and scenarios and maps that we've been doing? No, it's not. What we've been working on in those scenarios is we've been working on very specific movements. And while we'll develop some mouse control from that, we're activating very specific muscles for fast twitch reflex motions and for quick reactions to very obvious stimuli, right? It's like, I'm going to aim here and then I'm going to aim here, and this is what it's going to look like. Very cleanly, very fast, high bursts of output from your muscles that result in rapidly transitioning from one target to the next so that you can keep pace in your games, right? But when it comes to being really excellent at aim, you want to have absolute understanding of how moving your mouse moves your cursor. And what does that mean? Well, what that means is that you actually need to slow it down. And what we're going to do is we're going to show a couple different tracking exercises. There's infinite number of them. And there's a couple that you specifically want to do to develop really good mouse control. What that'll enable for you is just a sort of comfortability. Now, as a reminder, we want to stick to our fundamentals. So that means be prepared for what you're doing, right? We want to lead our target if we can, and then adjust as it changes direction. We want to have a very, very relaxed mindset going into this. If we've got a lot of tension in our arm while we're trying to track targets, it's going to be bad, right? We're not going to be developing actual mouse control. We're just going to be burning our arm out. We want to have a long session of tracking, not a very short one, because we've filled our arm like we're trying to, crush walnuts with our bare hands. And then most importantly is we want to practice it, and that's why we want a nice long session of tracking. And this is something that I wouldn't recommend doing in with a normal aim routine. If I were going to recommend how to do this, you look at your normal aim routine, you have your set of skills that you're trying to develop, you're focused in on those, and we'll talk about how to build that in the next video. But twice a week, to sit down and do 20 minutes of nothing but tracking exercises, as long as you focus on keeping a relaxed arm, is one of the best things that you can do for developing really solid aim that translates across games and even across sensitivities. So let's get into that. Okay, so this is the first exercise that we're going to do to work on mouse control, and this one's very simple, it's very straightforward, and it really is going to focus on crosshair placement. So our crosshair isn't going to change vertically, but what we're going to do is we're going to look to activate some more of these upper muscles, and I've got a fairly high sensitivity and a light mouse. Even though I have a fairly high sensitivity, I want to be doing this, not this, because if I do this and I've got this pivot point, it's hard. It takes extra effort. Like, I really have to use a fingertip grip, but with a palm grip, it's actually impossible not to arc my crosshair, right? So fingertip grip, high sensitivity, but I'm looking to use these muscles up here to follow this target horizontally. and I want to stay on the leading edge of the target and then fast flick back. And I would have a much higher score if I reduce this down to my wrist and my hand, but it's not about high score, right? It's about training the right muscle group to do the job here, and then you'll get really good and your score will improve, right? The score is a reflection of your skill, and if you cheat, then you don't have a reflection of your skill. But it's also important that you stay relaxed, right? Like I noticed myself tensing up there. I don't want to do that. I could feel the tension in my shoulder. I could feel it burning out. I still want to utilize those muscles, but I need them to be springy and open. I don't want them to be hard and contracted, because then I can't make adjustments very easily, and I suffer from a lot of fatigue. Some of us very quickly in areas like that, particularly around the joints. I did this once, but my screen was messed up. And you see, my score is significantly worse. But in terms of my improvement, that was much better because I got to train muscles that wouldn't normally get training. And it makes this significantly harder, but it also makes it significantly more useful. This is going to be more bread and butter of what you're looking to get out of a standard mouse control kind of training program, because this object is going to move randomly, and it's really going to stress us to stay ahead of it and to move both vertically as well as horizontally. We're not going to get the same level of excellent crosshair placement control, but what we are going to get out of it is more generic mouse control in general, and that's really what we're trying to push here. So exercises that have this kind of random movement pattern are going to be really excellent for you, and you want to try and lead it as best you can, because you don't want it to skip ahead of you. It's very simple. You just keep your crosshair on it, right? See, like, and again, I'm not an expert as far as, that's the wrong word. I'm not very good. But basically when it changes direction, that's when you want to activate those fast twitch muscles that cause you to flick to the far side of the target. And then until it changes direction, you want to try and know where it's headed. You can kind of see based on its pattern here, which of course I get the most random one in the universe as I'm trying to talk about this, right? Like this. It's pretty simple. I can see where it's going to go, and because of that I can lead the target fairly reliably. And that is something that's important. You don't want to miss the easy shots. That's what aim training is all about. It's not about hitting the hard shots. Everybody hits a hard shot. Every plat player's got a 5k blade on Genji. Every gold player in Valorant has an ace. Maybe just one, but they do. Everybody's hit a nasty shot, and everybody's got that in them. But the great players don't miss the easy shots. That's why they get clowned on so much for their whiffs and for pulling out their knife at weird moments, is because you expect them to hit those shots and they don't. This is another great mouse control exercise because unlike the previous one where we had no idea where the target was going and we wanted to constantly adjust while not being too tense, in this exercise, similar to the first one, we will be able to tell very easily where the target is going. In fact, this one follows a very specific pattern. And so what we want to do is we want to maximize our mouse control by being able to follow the pattern in a relaxed state reliably over and over and over again. There's many different exercises that have something like this. This one is a star. Star is a similar or a familiar pattern that this will do, right? But you can see it shows on the screen where it's going, and it's not too hard to follow. It is for me, but again, I'm keeping it confined to my upper arm. This one has some variable speed. That's kind of nice. It does make it a little harder. It's nice to have one of these with variable speed and one without, or maybe I just suck. That's entirely possible too. I would be really curious to see Chris do these. If he could do like a side-by-side, that would be sick. He's top 0.1% of aim labs, and because of that, he will be able to show you what it looks like when you're really good, at least at the task. He might cheat too.
Alright, I want to cut it here real quick. I'm Chris the Cookie, otherwise known as CG Cock, the man he's talking about in the video. I'm a little sick while editing this. Yes, I am the editor as well. A little wild, I'm a jack of all trades, what can I say? But I do want to say, I don't cheat in aim lab. What do you gain from that? I have hit multiple accomplishments. I have proved my worth in and out of game. That's all I wanted to say. I love you. If you made it this far, please leave a like. Please comment down below. I mean, if you made it this far, just comment like, hey Chris, love you. or something. You know, it doesn't have to be love, actually. Maybe just hey, Chris. All right, but anyway, let's get back to the video.
But you still, like, this is an exceptional one for learning how to lead your target, knowing where it's going. And I can already start to feel this in my upper arm towards my shoulder. And that's what you want in an exercise like this, because when you're playing the game, you want to be able to make movements across your screen utilizing your upper arm. Now, again, my sensitivity is pretty high, so I can more or less aim with just my wrist. But then I'll end up with wrist injuries for the rest of my life. That's gonna cut us off for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. I'll be sure to answer them either in the comments or with a whole video. And next week we're going to talk about building a training routine, so be sure to tune in for that, and you can get all of the expert advice on how to actually improve your aim and not just burn yourself out so that you suck in ranked games. All right, thanks, and I'll see you next time.